Am I the asshole for telling my friend my son is just as deserving as her son? My son and a friend's son both entered a lottery for a local charter high school that specializes in STEM. My son was granted entry. The friend was not. It's unfortunate, but also out of my control. It came up in conversation that my son had gained entry when I was visiting this friend. She asked that I transfer my son's spot to her son, because she had become aware that I live in a good public school district. I explained that my son is extremely passionate about the areas the school specializes in, so would be attending. Never mind that what she was proposing probably isn't even allowed. She tried to assert that because her son would not have access to as good a school otherwise, that my son should free up the spot for someone more needy. Her son was in the room as this was being discussed. I didn't feel I could speak freely in the presence of a child involved, so I suggested we continue talking in another room or at another time. She said this concerned her son, so he should be apart, and kept instigating him with questions like, "Tell her how excited you would have been to go to the charter school. Don't you think you deserve this spot?" He seemed uncomfortable at first, but obviously did feel strongly and passionately that he deserved to go, so warmed up to participating in the conversation. Finally, I wanted to end the back and forth and just told her, "My son is just as deserving as your son. It was a random lottery. He's your responsibility, not mine. This isn't the only option for education you have. You knew admission wasn't a sure thing and it was wrong to pin his hopes on it." And left. Now, looking back, I feel badly because I worry I should have removed myself rather than engage in front of her son. Two wrongs don't make a right, and just because she wasn't being the best adult doesn't give me an excuse to do what I did. But, I do believe the things I said, and I'm not the one who put her son in the situation. So, I'm really broken up. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, so painfully not the asshole. She just seems like she's trying to be manipulative as fuck. Good luck to your son. Not the asshole. You got put into an impossible situation and I think dealt with it as diplomatically as you could given the ridiculous entitlement she was showing to ask you to forego your child's education. She probably won't be a friend anymore though. Not the asshole. She pulled her son into it, and I actually think it's good for kids with parents like this to witness them being put in their place. Not the asshole. And she's not really a friend if she's trying to guilt you like this. Not the asshole. It was a randomized lottery. I'm assuming no skill was involved. They do it this way to make the odds fair for everyone. You're doing what's right for your son. It's her fault for involving her son, and that's something she never should have done. Kids are resilient. He would have had an easier time bouncing back if she wasn't an asshole and involved him. Not the asshole. How inappropriate. Even if you did withdraw your son, there's no guarantee her son would be next in line. Not the asshole. It's honestly weird for her to even ask that. She's an idiot for thinking her kid needs this to succeed. What the hell's she gonna do when he can't get into Harvard or Oxford? This is more about her than the kid. That kid lost out on the parent lottery too. Not the asshole. You tried to postpone the conversion to a time when the child wasn't present, but the other parent refused to back down and even encouraged their son to engage. What makes people act like this? They aren't entitled to your son's spot at the charter school, and if she thinks their district is so bad, and it is important to them, that they can move to a better school district. Your son got the lottery spot and you guys shouldn't be guilted into giving that spot to others who deem themselves more worthy. Number 1. Not the asshole by any stretch of the imagination. Number 2. Stop referring to her as your friend. She is not your friend. If she were, she would have been happy for you and your son. With friends like that, who needs enemies? Not the asshole. You lost me at. She stated I should transfer her the spot. You won the lottery, fair and square. Do what's best for your son. Don't let other people take that from you. Not the asshole. Everything you said was the truth. NaH until she involved the young child in trying to manipulate you. Not the asshole. Advocating for your child doesn't mean trying to take away other children's opportunities. She can be envious, but she crossed the line in trying to get you to forfeit the spot, which would just go to the next kid in line, not necessarily hers. Not the asshole. In fact, what you said last to her really made me clap. I get that she is wanting her kid to be in a good school. But when you involve your kid in these kind of conversations and all that, you're feeding into a hope that somehow they are more deserving of that position. It was a lottery. It was just chance your son got it. But that doesn't mean he doesn't deserve it. And frankly, your friend is not being a good mom. If he were to start believing her, who knows what else he'd feel entitled to. Then he'd get to play victim again. Not the asshole. She dragged her child into it and attempted to have you co-sign her entitled behavior while asking you to do something impossible that wouldn't benefit your child. Can't decide if this is pure entitlement or some kind of major manipulation gone wrong. Either way, you may want to reconsider if this is a friend or an acquaintance. These are getting so ridiculous. If you don't have a single, you are the asshole. After 100 comments, it probably wasn't worth putting on this subreddit. You can tell from the title this was not even a controversial position whatsoever. Not the asshole. This is a lottery system that is not based on need. You are correct. Your son is just as deserving as hers. Your friend's behavior was wildly entitled and manipulative, especially bringing her son into the conversation. Also, I am almost certain that you can't just transfer your son's spot to hers. I would imagine that if you decline your son's spot that the district would choose who would take the spot. Not the asshole. Even if you were open to removing your son, it's likely that the school would randomly select another person and no guarantee it would be their kid. Keep standing up for your kid. And best of luck. Not the asshole. Your ex-friend is insane. I also deserved to win the $24 million lottery last weekend, but I didn't ask the winner to transfer the money to me. She is very much the asshole here, but your response in front of the son was a little inappropriate, at least in my opinion. She's more the asshole for forcing you into that position. Not the asshole. She brought this conflict in front of her son, not you. NTA. It's not like you said anything outrageously mean, you stated a fact. If you withdraw your son, I doubt you get to pick who he is replaced with anyway. The lot will likely go back to lottery. She's being a bit idiotic. Not the asshole. It's completely unfair for her to try and demand something like that of you and try to manipulate you using her child. You are the asshole. Fake. Not the asshole. WTF. Is it me or are people okay with acting ridiculously entitled nowadays? I never heard of such things growing up, but it seems to happen all the time now. Maybe she can stay on trend with the idiocy that is now the Times and Tattoo Lotto 2021 never forget, on her arm. Idiot. Not the asshole. Call the school ASAP and tell them for certain that your son is going in to mark in your file that you are attending and attempts to unenroll you should be contacted immediately. She might pretend to be you or your partner and do this out of spite. Not the asshole. Do you know what is really sad is that schools can vary so widely based on the neighborhood. It's too bad we don't have a more equitable system for schooling our children, because a well-educated populace creates a strong country with a healthy economy. But politics aside, you are not the asshole. Not the asshole at all. Such is the shitshow of having to run a lottery for admission to an oversubscribed school. In a lottery, doesn't come into it. Well, maybe they deserve to be entered into the draw in the first place, but nobody deserves to win, it's just random chance. And if she has a beef with how her kid ought to have been the one, then she needs to take it up with the school selectors, not you. How even do you transfer your son's spot over, anyway? You don't. If you withdrew your son, then his place would go back into the pot and they'd draw lots again to assign it so that all of the other kids have a chance of replacing him. You could have mentioned that people sometimes move unexpectedly or have to withdraw, and until the new school year starts there could be a chance he could still get in. Happened to a friend's daughter when she thought they didn't get in. In my grandson's case, he didn't get chosen in the lottery, but the school happened to open a new campus for the next school year just 2 miles from our house and he was one of the first students enrolled. We had no idea they were opening a new campus and were surprised and thrilled. Would she have done RHE same for your child? You would not have ever asked because you would have accepted the situation and tried again the next year. Some people have screwed up ways of thinking they deserve more than they really do. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'd give the school a heads up. I've heard too much craziness on Reddit to not suggest that. Not the asshole. Frankly, if what you said is more or less verbatim, then I can't see how you'd be the asshole. This woman put you on the spot, tried to undervalue whether your son deserved to be in the program or not by compared to hers, was very entitled about it to boot, and put her own child on the spot to convince you. These are not the signs of a good mother, much less a good person. You approached this in a sensible fashion. When pressed, you didn't say she or her son were undeserving, sucked, or were awful. You said the truth, that it was a lotto and she's at fault for expecting a sure thing out of random chance. Full stop. Not the asshole. On another note, I do hope that the school being STEM-focused won't be totally at the expense of the humanities, which are incredibly important to one's development as a human being. Not the asshole. The school funding system is. They have enough money to fund magnet STEM schools, but not enough to fund inner-city schools. Not the asshole. You said yourself that neither of you had any control in the matter. So your friend needs to realize that. Along with the fact that life isn't always going to be fair and that you don't always get what you want. Not the asshole. And generally, you can't give your son's spot to someone else. Allowing that allows abuse where people sign up for a free lottery and then auction off the spots. Having that conversation in front of her son is rough, but that was her choice, not yours, and as long as it was framed as above where the kids are equally deserving, you have nothing to feel bad about. There are plenty of good schools she can either find the money for or move into. If education is the priority, she'll find a way without doing it on the back of someone else's kid. Not the asshole, and that is not a friend. That is a user. Someone who will manipulate the hell out of you to get what they want. Find a new friend. Nah, the real asshole is the American public school system. Not the asshole. That was serious entitlement coming from the mother, and it's just as important that the son understands all of the points you made. I'm sure he is very disappointed, but it's a feeling you need to learn to live with. Not the asshole, but definitely make sure his spot is locked down and that she doesn't try and decline it for you. Not the asshole. Don't feel bad for what you said. It was wrong of her to be saying that stuff. Obviously your son got in because they liked his application overall. Period. She's the actual asshole here. Congrats to him. Not the asshole, definitely. I kind of understand her desperation, but that really isn't your issue to solve, even less so when it's on your son's behalf. You didn't put down her son either, so don't worry about it too much. Not the asshole. Your friend only wants her son to go so she can get bragging rights. She should grow the fuck up because she lost fair and square. Also, to hell with her entitlement and guilt tripping. Furthermore, I'm willing to bet she likely kept telling her son that he'll get in no matter what, and got him really hyped up about it. Which, as someone else has said, in turn reduces his ability to bounce back from the disappointment of not getting in. Not the asshole. Using her son as emotional blackmail is wrong on so many levels. Your answer was appropriate. I would have gone as far as to point out if the district she lives in doesn't provide the right opportunities, then she should move. Not the asshole. You didn't say anything remotely insulting to the son or mom. It just wasn't what she wanted to hear. Not the asshole. 1. You are not responsible for educating other people's kids. 2. Your son declining the spot equals the other kid getting it. 3. Going to this one specific school is not the only option for your friend's kids. If they really don't want to go to the local school, then they need to move. Not the asshole. What a cruel person to build her son's hopes and expectations like that in a lottery and then make him be part of the conversation. If she cares so much, she would have made sure to live in a district with better schools, even if meant a totally different area. She had years to prepare. Her son is not more needy because he doesn't live in as good public school district. If he is good and works hard, he will be good anywhere. Not the asshole. And even if you gave up the spot, there is very little chance they would let you give it to someone else. They would almost certainly give the spot to someone else chosen by lottery. Not the asshole. And best of luck to your kid.